Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Ethne.
And I'm Harry.
So today we'll be discussing about the differences of studying in different universities for architecture, comparing NUS with Yale.
Yeah.
So
This is just part two. Part one is more talking about the design comparisons between the two universities of NUS and Yale, which link will be below on my channel.
Yes, so click on to part one if you haven't done so, because in this video we'll be focusing more on the studio life and what it's like studying at Singapore and in America.
Yeah, so a little background about us is that we actually graduated from Bachelors of Architecture in Sydney University in Australia. Yeah. But then from then on, we kind of went on our separate ways for masters, where I personally went to Singapore, NUS, National University of Singapore.
And I'm studying MArch 1 at Yale University right now. So in this video, we want to go deep into what it's like studying at the different universities and what our personal experiences are last semester with the pandemic hitting and the whole school going to online school. So Harry, starting off, what was the studio environment like in Singapore?
So it was definitely hard because everything that we experienced was all online for the first time. And since it was our first semester entering Masters of Architecture, we had to kind of not only learn how to design online, but we also had to learn to get along with our teammates and group mates like online as well and all that.
That's the same for us, especially hearing how most of your works are actually team works. I would imagine that's very difficult, meeting new people online and actually forming this design connection.
So NUS was majority was a lot of group work, so it was a bit hard to kind of like design online as a group.
So do you do sketches on Miro and like?
Yeah, so Miro was a great help because we kind of all just like went on there and just drew and stuff.
I think Yale was a little bit different because in MArch 1 first year, most of our design works are actually individual works. We do have ongoing discussions and conversations with our classmates throughout the semester. However, the design outcome is somewhat personal, and it's very much the students' personal choice on how they would like to approach to the brief.
Yeah, so for NUS particularly, this last semester, it was basically our relationship with the professor was really as a group, as a whole class. It wasn't really individual one-on-one sessions with the professor, which I kind of missed. I quite like that back in Sydney University. It was really intimate with your tutor and all that, but I didn't really experience it last semester. I'm not sure about this semester and semester 2, but first semester was because it was majority a teamwork and a group work, so then we kind of all just talked to the tutor at the same time.
I would imagine that's perhaps also limited by the medium online because it's difficult to go into a Zoom session with one-on-one with your teacher.
Yes, but I guess it was quite nice because it was my first time entering Masters of Architecture, and like I had a little relationship with other students, so it was a great opportunity to kind of connect with a lot of people at once.
Oh, that's definitely so. And I think at Yale we did have a lot more one-on-one conversations with our tutor because the class sizes were relatively small. So we had around 10 students in each class, and we had one instructor and one teaching assistant.
Yeah, that's same as NUS. NUS is also around 8 to 10 to 12 students per class with one professor. Yeah.
Okay, right.
And we actually picked who we wanted as our professor. The professors will actually, like around 10 professors will kind of present their briefs and be like, oh, this is the brief for this semester. And then after every professor has presented, we'll actually ballot and bid for which tutor we want.
Yeah. I think that is also in Yale, but in second and third year. I'm not too sure. But in first year, since it was just core studio, so we were just assigned into studio classes. And last semester, I guess it was different from the previous years because we had majority on-campus students and some remote students like myself. So we had to we were put together in mixtures of in-person students and remote students.
Definitely, same in NUS last semester. It was a mixture of both physical and online students together. Yeah, and the professors, I must say, like there are the choices are very broad. Like there are professors coming in from Japan, there are professors coming in from London. You just pick who you want, basically, and it's great because you can pick like who you want to be a referee letter for the future when you start working with it.
Thinking ahead.
Yeah, connections.
Yeah, so I would say both our unis were very provided very good opportunities for us to build relationship with our peers and with professors. Definitely could be better if we were in person. However, I think last semester was as good as it can be
Yes.
considering the pandemic and all that. And also, how did you find the societies and clubs at NUS?
Yeah. So for NUS, I'm not sure about other universities, but like in Singapore, particular, good academics grades is not enough to really guarantee you into a good company or whatever. Like, cause you're kind of amongst a lot of other peers who have good grades. So societies and contributions to a lot of clubs and stuff is also very valuable, and they will definitely consider that along with your grades.
Back in Sydney Uni, we didn't have the pressure to join societies or clubs for the sake of improving our CV.
Yeah, so I'll say that joining clubs is just as valuable as good grades, and
Yeah.
therefore we were quite peer pressured at NUS to kind of also participate in clubs, which I actually joined the architecture society at NUS. Yeah.
I reckon that probably is a nice peer pressure, and I feel like at Yale we were also very much encouraged to join architecture or non-architecture related societies. It was difficult because through online we could only participate via Zoom meetings and we only get the notifications by email. However, I do feel like there's enough options for us to choose from both in the architecture school and outside the architecture school. So I reckon it was the opportunities weren't very limited by the fact that the pandemic's hitting and we're studying online.
Definitely, we still got our fair share of our experience in societies and all through online meetings.
Yeah. And lastly, we're going to be showcasing our studio work and giving you guys a bit of insight into the differences, the different outcomes from different universities. However, all these works are just our individual works, and our work can be very different from our peers. So keep that in mind when you're watching it.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe just starting off with NUS, because the majority of group works, I'll just show one of the group works for construction.
So construction class.
Construction class. So for our construction class, it was group work, and we had to choose two topics. Where my group chose PPVC construction technique, which is a module kind of technique where it's like Lego when you kind of fabricate it off-site and then we transport it on-site, these little modules, and just kind of stack it together and combine it together to form one tall tower. So we combined this topic of PPVC construction technique with green facade to kind of form this tower, which I'll show somewhere on the screen. As you can see, so it's a very, I guess, systematic, practical approach in architecture, which is quite the norm in NUS, where, a lot of the styles that you will see throughout NUS architecture program is that it's very practical and very construction driven, and
I wouldn't say, yes, it's very practical, but I also really like how you guys integrated such a practical class with design. And this is you actually produce a design outcome from it. I think that's very nice.
Definitely. And I feel like a lot of the programs at NUS is very driven by biophilic tropical design styles, which is definitely a very encouraging style in our day and age because of global warming, climate change. You see this a lot in tropical regions like Singapore, and even China, Australia is actually adapting this biophilic design, trying to combat carbon emissions and all that.
I really like how your school is very, would you say regional in a sense, critical regionalism in practice. However, I think Yale is a little more focused, or at this stage in my first year, is not limited to a specific region, not like American or Asian American. Rather than that, the student work presented at Yale really gives you the opportunity to focus on other places outside the continent of America.
Definitely.
And we also have I wouldn't say construction, but we also have a mandatory structure class in our first year, in which case we were exploring the fundamentals of structure from the Vitruvius to principles of Firmitas, Utilitas, and Venutas. However, we didn't produce a specific design out of that class. It was more or less calculation, theory, and a combination of design through that class. So we were introduced structure principles, technologies, and we were also asked to take exams on calculating the materials needed, and also the construction methods.
Yeah, I'll say
and
that
structure.
as mentioned in part one of this video, Yale University, the candidates and students actually come from different academic backgrounds.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is possibly why they want to kind of push this fundamental construction knowledge to the students. Whereas at NUS, the background of the students they all come from bachelor's of architecture mainly, so they would already have this fundamental knowledge, and that's why in master's degree, what they're doing now is they're implementing their fundamental knowledge and applying it to a certain building to construct. Whereas they don't design a building for construction.
Exactly. And I feel like that could also be potentially due to the student body being slightly different at Yale, because majority of the students are international students, as we mentioned before, who carry very different cultural and geographical background to the school. So students might choose to focus their field of study outside of America or in very specific areas related to their background, which is actually encouraged by the school to not just focus on what is commonly observed or commonly focused on. However, took your own personal interest and personal path onto improving a part of the society where you think improvements are needed. That's it to our videos. If you guys have any comments, comment down below, like and subscribe.
Yep, ask us what you want to see next, and
Yeah.
remember to check out part one on the link down below. Check out my
Yes.
channel as well, harrylam.pdf.
Bye guys.
Bye guys.